Hey, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about crowdfunding, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, how to get that project funded of your dreams, and as well, get into some of the actual techniques that you can use in order to deliver more traffic to your campaign and whatever it is you're trying to do in the world to bring that into reality. I think that honestly, a lot of my viewers almost have like a superpower. I'm not talking about everyone, people who are taking action, we'll put it that way. If you're actually taking action, you're sketching out designs, you're putting together prototypes, no matter what kind of, it's a book, or if it's something that's like a board game, or something that's like a gadget or a gizmo, it doesn't matter. If you're taking something in your head that you thought of, you had an idea, and you were taking active steps to bring that into the real world, that is a superpower. That's something that not many people can do and are willing to even persist with that. So that's something that to me is a hallmark of listeners of this channel. So if you have been listening for a while and you haven't yet, give me a thumbs up, come subscribe, join this community. But today we're getting into some little secret tips when it comes to the Kickstarter video, how to improve that, and I'm gonna try and deliver to that to you in a rapid fire fashion. My name is Sal, let's get right into it. So what are some little known Kickstarter video tips? And this is something that to me is just so valuable because video is such a powerful freaking medium, man, right? Video is so powerful for not only affecting emotions, for not only getting people to be interested in something, to buy things. Think about that. You could create a video that you put on Facebook, that you put on Kickstarter, that you put anywhere, and it causes someone to want to own something that you're promoting. That is so cool. And the question is like, how do you really do that? So these are what I call hidden mechanisms of influence. And if you're just kind of a beginner, or you're putting together your own video, or you're an amateur, or you're trying to even supervise another company that's gonna put together the video for you, I think these tips are gonna be useful in that case. And in addition, like, let's be honest, there are a lot of videographers. I was doing a shoot in Miami here, and I'm like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, right? So I had to direct a lot more of the photo shoot and the video shoot when it comes to that. People don't always know what they're doing. So it really pays as a business owner just to be a little bit smart, a little bit knowledgeable about the process of getting creative done. And that's really what it's called when it comes to marketing, is creative, right? So number one, let's talk about how do you really make something pop? How do you make something high quality, right? So the biggest thing when it comes to videos, actually I wanna start with, is that when it comes to these videos, these Kickstarter videos, attention is king. And a lot of the times your attention wanes throughout a video, right? You're watching this and you just kind of get bored, but you don't really know why you're getting bored, right? So what I'm about to share with you is a number one way in order to make sure you maintain attention throughout a Kickstarter video. And that is, you always wanna be changing up the frame. So number one, you always want to be changing up the frame, right? What does that mean? That means that you're having, for example, let's just say that you're taking photos and videos of, we'll just say this little phone right here, right? So how could you change up the frame in multiple ways? Now, number one, you could have a close-up that's kind of going around this and showing the curvature of this phone, right? Or you could have another high-end view, right, where it's looking down on it. Or you could have another view where it's looking from the side, right? And while you're maybe mixing that in with other kinds of footage where someone's actually using the phone, talking in the phone, you always want to be changing up the frame. And that's because the human eye is designed, and this is probably goes back to our ancestors when we were in the fields with predators, right, and all that kind of stuff. We were trying to huddle around the fire to keep warm, and we had to actually chop down trees, right, in order to get any kind of logs in order to make our shelter. When things were moving in the jungle, it would naturally get our attention, right? And our brain really hasn't evolved very much. If you think about human consciousness, right, it's kind of like a woo-woo topic. It's really only because we can pass knowledge from generation to generation. Our brains are actually really similar to they were hundreds and hundreds of years ago. We've only been on this planet for a very short period of time. So our mind is designed to really pay attention to what's constantly changing in an environment. So when it comes to the video, you need to always be changing up the frame. And when you do that, it's a lot easier to maintain an attention in that way. And it's almost like seamless. So if you have not so great video, but you're always changing up the frame, you can get someone to watch to the very end of that video. And you also notice that obviously when it comes to like certain YouTubers who have that kind of a style, but when it comes to particularly a product video, always be changing up the frame. Number two, and this is probably one of my biggest mistakes or realizations when I was first getting into filmmaking and making films and that kind of stuff, is that, well, when you first record a video or you get the video footage, if you will, back from a camera, it's not necessarily what people are going to see. So it goes through an editing process. And one of the most powerful elements of the editing process is what's called color grading, okay? Color grading gives the look and the feel to the actual image that you're seeing when it comes to a product video. So if you're amateur photographer or videographer just delivers you the raw files and you're going to use that for the video, you should really put it through a color grading process, because you're going to create that warm feeling towards certain scenes, or that kind of cool feeling that you feel in horror movies, right? Which can create that kind of cartoonish feeling maybe with rom-coms, bringing out certain tones in that way. The color grading process is designed to make people feel emotions towards a particular product. And if that product, you're trying to make it unique or make it sound really interesting or like next level or state of the art, there are different techniques that you can do with color grading in order to make a product video feel that way. And again, it is subconscious. A lot of people, when they're just watching the video, they don't know why they feel a certain way, that rom-coms kind of feel different than a horror movie. They might say like, oh, it's like more shadowy or something like that. Well, really the technical term is the color grading process that it has gone through. Number 3 is that you want to capture B-roll footage. Now, I know that might sound like a very basic tip for those of you out there that are familiar with filming, but this is really just aimed at amateurs and people that are not really very familiar with the filming process. The most powerful thing that you can do, aside from changing up the frame, aside from color grading, etc., that we talked about, is to get an adequate amount of B-roll footage. And here is why. First of all, what the heck is B-roll footage? Sal, you're throwing out those fancy terms. I don't understand what you mean, right? I don't like using fancy terms. B-roll, all it means is that, let's just say we're talking right now, and I talk about a beautiful forest that you're walking through, or I'm here right in Miami. You're wading into the ocean. You can feel the sand underneath your fingertips, I mean your toes, right? And you're going into the ocean. You can feel the coolness of the breeze and the sun on your skin and that almost ocean vibe, and it feels just great. If while I was talking and describing that, we had some footage playing over this video of the ocean or of waves, or showing the palms that are moving to and fro, right, on Miami Beach or Bayside Marketplace or wherever you are, that would be B-roll footage. So what it does is, while I'm talking to the camera, you're displaying some kind of video that's playing on top of that. And it's what's called capturing the mind's eye. So again, when people are not told what to think, or where they aren't given what to see, they tend to create their own thoughts, and they tend to kind of get a little bit more in their head. And if they're just watching a still video, they start to imagine different things. They start to think about what they're gonna eat for lunch. They start to think about what they gotta do after this, and their mind tends to wander. However, have you ever had the experience where you are watching a film and it is hypnotic? Your attention is engrossed in that film. You're feeling emotions and you literally can't take your eyes off it. Children, if you wanna think about getting attention of an ADD person, look at a child. When they put on film, when they put on a movie, whoop, rapt attention, right? Why is that? That is because of the B-roll footage. That is because as certain things are happening, as people are talking, you're showing different images on the screen, and it causes it to almost take over your thoughts and your mind's eye. And I know this sounds crazy, right? This sounds very like Machiavellian in that way. But if you really want to get people to feel certain emotions or to come to certain conclusions, when you're talking about the amazing sleek design, or how this is robust and how this could never be breaking, you want to have a B-roll footage of this thing falling down and not shattering, or being dropped from the top of a major 5-story, 10-story building, right? Drops and it doesn't break. So you want to think about what B-roll footage is going to support the actual product benefits and functionality, particularly as well with your script, and how can you kind of sync that up to create a cohesive feel with the video, so when people are watching it, they're not tuned out, but they're really absorbing the high-level benefits, the functionality, the promises, and not only that, they are believing you when you are talking about it on the video. The next thing that I want to talk about when it comes to creating a really high quality, great video for a Kickstarter or for any kind of product that you're coming out with is to be aware of how you can use music in order to influence people's mood, okay? So if you don't have music within your video, you can use music at particular portions within different scenes. You can use music in order to have certain effects. You can use music in order to create transitions, right? Or you can even put just an underlying track throughout the entire video. But what that's gonna do is gonna create a feel towards the product. So rock and roll music obviously has a lot of different feeling, right? Than it does something more like classical or piano music, right? So you wanna kind of pair, again, the variables that you have in order to influence someone. You want to pair those with the perception that you're trying to create when it comes to a video, when it comes to framing a product in a certain way. And we use music to do that. I think that honestly, TikTok and Instagram Reels are a great example of how now ordinary people are discovering that fact as well, where they put music over a certain scene. They're like, wow, this makes it seem so inspirational. Filmmakers have known about this for years, obviously, right? But you can use the same kind of basic principle in order to get people to feel a certain way towards you, your product, and your brand.
Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillrite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description.
The next one I want to talk about is environment and also your human eye. Okay, so this is again a very kind of deep topic, but the way that we process information is that when we see things that look very familiar, we tend to kind of tune them out. Okay, and I know that sounds kind of strange, but it's just true. When we are looking at footage that looks very ordinary, very boring, like a normal kind of day, we just kind of tune it out. But have you ever noticed how if you're ever watching the video and you see a really interesting angle, like again, let's go back to this camera example, if you have a really close-up angle or something that's kind of offbeat in some way, or it's from above, an angle that you're not used to seeing with the human eye, you naturally kind of get a little bit more interested. Like, this looks more highly produced video. This looks more interesting. This is a really creative, interesting angle where there's a certain transition that happens, right? Where the person is maybe throwing this up in the air, then it transitions midway in the air to another scene, and the person catches it, and then they're talking on the phone, right? These are all really interesting, sneaky ways in order to maintain attention throughout a video. And all you're doing is you're basically making use of the fact that most human beings are not seeing that in their everyday. You're not seeing those kinds of close-ups, that's those kinds of angles, low angle views or up angle views. They're not seeing these different types of ways of actually viewing the product. So when you actually can see that in a video, it begins to capture your attention and you begin to subconsciously think, oh wow, this is a well-produced video. Oh wow, these guys know what they're doing, right? And it transfers that feeling of high quality onto the actual product because again, it alters your perception at a very micro level. The other thing is what you are pairing with that video. Now, here's a great example. If I was wearing something different, or if I had a different background, or if I had a different plant, it's gonna have a different feel to the video. The same thing when it comes to a product. So we've been using this example a lot, so let's use a different example, right? If you have a watch, right? And you have one kind of band of watch, but you change up this to a leather band, is that gonna change the feeling that you're gonna associate it with me, or the feeling when it comes to this product? Absolutely. So the materials that you're using, that you're associating the product with, the background drop when it comes to the actual photo shoot, the scene that you're in, the things that you're pairing it with. If it's a high-end product, do you want it to be on a marble table? Do you want it to be on like kind of a basic wood table that it looks like you just were in the wood shop, right? It depends on the angle. If you're talking about the prototype and the way you designed it, maybe the wood shop. If you're talking about, we came up with this incredible full-fledged product, it's amazing, right? That's great for your home, that's great this, and you have the background of home of really nice plants and really great marble and a nice window, right? And really good mirror. It might create more of that high aesthetic kind of a feel. So really be deliberate about your choices because that's what you pair those associations with your product, and again, makes it pop. Last thing I want to mention, and I'll give you a final CTA as well, is that too often I have creators that will approach me, and particularly this is like, for example, the group coaching that I do and the one-on-one coaching as well, where they're really just trying to wing the video. And the reason why is that they just don't know how to put together an effective script, or they're not sure when it comes to creating a shot list or different scenes and how to lay that out, and just the organizational structure that goes into that. If that's something that's you, number one, you should learn a little bit more about it, right? Because just by learning a tiny bit about this, it's gonna make the entire process so much more seamless. In addition, you can have coaches like myself look at this process or help you implement it, right? And be like, okay, this has to be changed around. We gotta change this, we gotta change that. And that way you're not coming to someone with the full-fledged finished video and trying to get it changed. And it's like, well, there's not very much that we can do with this. So the name of the game with innovation and creation and creativity, and I'm more of a creative person obviously myself, is that you wanna start with something that other people can edit, a document of some kind, and then you bring that slowly into the real world. In the same way that you come up with a product idea, you get it sketched out, you get a CAD design, right? You get maybe a prototype made, and there are different iterations and stages that go into making that a full-fledged product. Same thing goes with the video. Don't start with just shooting, right? And then put together the video and be like, I'm done, right? Really try to think it out a tiny bit. Go through the process, right, that I talk about within my community. Smash your Kickstarter goal, which I will link up down below. Go through the process, go through the forms, go through the documents, and really at the end of the day, you're then gonna have a proven process for getting an incredible video that gets you funded, which is the most important thing. You don't have to become an expert in all of this, but the more knowledgeable you are, the easier it's gonna be to get that end result. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and some of these tips. I did think I went a little bit longer when it comes to these rapid fire tips, but I hope that you liked it. Give me a thumbs up if you did find this to be useful, helpful, if you found it knowledgeable, something that kind of just killed a little bit of thinking. Number two, come subscribe to this channel if you want more content just like this, and also check out my group coaching program down below if you want to do on regular, intensive, ongoing coaching calls with me, as well as check-ins, homework items, all that kind of stuff. Put a schedule to this, really hold you accountable, get you taking action so you can smash your goal immediately when you go live on Kickstarter. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. My name is Sal. I'll see you next time.